Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing. Today we are once again, as you may have guessed, going to be continuing to read the Iliad by Homer. So, let's get going. While to the rampart staring Glaucus drew, from Teucer's hand a winged arrow flew. The bearded shaft the destined passage found, and on his naked arm inflicts a wound. The chief, who feared some foe's insulting boast might stop the progress of his warlike host, concealed the wound, and leaping from his height, retired reluctant from the unfinished fight. Divine Sarpedon with regret beheld disabled Glaucus slowly quit the field. His beating breast with generous ardour glows. He springs to fight and flies upon his foes. Alcmaeon first was doomed his force to feel. Deep in his breast he plunged the pointed steel. Then from the yawning wound with fury tore, the spear pursued by gushing streams of gore. Down sinks the warrior with a thundering sound. His brazen armour rings against the ground. Swift to the battlement the victor flies, tugs with full force, and every nerve applies. It shakes, the ponderous stones disjointed yield, the rolling ruins smoke along the field. A mighty breach appears, the walls lie bare, and like a deluge rushes in the war. At once bold Teucer draws the twanging bow, and Ajax sends his javelin at the foe. Fixed in his belt the feathered weapon stood, and through his buckler drove the trembling wood. But Jove was present in the dire debate, to shield his offspring and avert his fate. The prince gave back, not meditating flight, but urging vengeance and severer fight. Then raised with hope and fired with glory's charms, his fainting squadrons to new fury warms. O where, ye Lycians, is the strength you boast, your former fame and ancient virtue lost? The breach lies open, but your chief in vain attempts alone the guarded pass to gain. Unite, and soon that hostile fleet shall fall. The force of powerful union conquers all. This just rebuke inflamed the Lycian crew. They join, they thicken, and the assault renew. Unmoved the embodied Greeks their fury dare, and fixed support the weight of all the war. Nor could the Greeks repel the Lycian powers, nor the bold Lycians force the Grecian towers. As on the confines of adjoining grounds, two stubborn swains with blows dispute their bounds. They tug, they sweat, but neither gain nor yield 1 foot 1 inch of the contended field. Thus obstinate to death they fight, they fall, nor these can keep, nor those can win the wall. Their manly breasts are pierced with many a wound. Loud strokes are heard, and rattling arms resound. The copious slaughter covers all the shore, and the high ramparts drip with human gore. As when 2 scales are charged with doubtful loads, from side to side the trembling balance nods, while some laborious matron, just and poor, with nice exactness weighs her woolly store, till poised aloft the resting beam suspends, each equal weight, nor this nor that descends. 227. So stood the war till Hector's matchless might, with fates prevailing, turned the scale of fight. Fierce as a whirlwind up the walls he flies, and fires his host with loud repeated cries. Advance, ye Trojans, lend your valiant hands, haste to the fleet and toss the blazing brands. They hear, they run, and gathering at his call, raise scaling engines and ascend the wall. Around the works a wood of glittering spears shoots up, and all the rising host appears. A ponderous stone bold Hector heaved to throw, pointed above and rough and gross below. Not 2 strong men the enormous weight could raise, such men as live in these degenerate days. Yet this, as easy as a swain could bear, the snowy fleece he tossed and shook in air. For Jove upheld and lightened of its load the unwieldy rock, the labour of a god. Thus armed before the folded gates he came, of massy substance and stupendous frame, with iron bars and brazen hinges strong, on lofty beams of solid timber hung. Then thundering through the planks with forceful sway, drives the sharp rock, the solid beams give way. The folds are shattered from the crackling door, leap the resounding bars, the flying hinges roar. Now rushing in the furious chief appears, gloomy as night, and shakes 2 shining spears. 228. A dreadful gleam from his bright armour came, and from his eyeballs flashed the living flame. He moves a god resistless in his course, and seems a match for more than mortal force. Then pouring after through the gaping space, a tide of Trojans flows and fills the place. The Greeks behold, they tremble and they fly. The shore is heaped with death, and tumult rends the sky. Greek altar. Book 13. Argument. The 4th battle continued, in which Neptune assists the Greeks. The acts of Idomeneus. Neptune, concerned for the loss of the Grecians upon seeing the fortification forced by Hector, who had entered the gate near the station of the Ajaces, assumes the shape of Calchas and inspires those heroes to oppose him. Then, in the form of one of the generals, encourages the other Greeks who had retired to their vessels. The Ajaces form their troops in a close phalanx, and put a stop to Hector and the Trojans. Several deeds of valour are performed. Meriones, losing his spear in the encounter, repairs to seek another at the tent of Idomeneus. This occasions a conversation between those 2 warriors, who return together to the battle. Idomeneus signalizes his courage above the rest. He kills Othryoneus, Asius and Alcathus. Diphoebus and Cneus march against him, and at length Idomeneus retires. Menelaus wounds Helenus and kills Pisander. The Trojans are repulsed on the left wing. Hector still keeps his ground against the Ajaces, till, being goaled by the Locrian slingers and archers, Polydamas advises to call a council of war. Hector approves of his advice, but goes first to rally the Trojans. Upbraids Paris, rejoins Polydamas, meets Ajax again, and renews the attack. The 8th and 20th day still continues. The scene is between the Grecian wall and the seashore. And you know what? We're actually going to end there. I know we could potentially do that paragraph, but do you know what? I'm actually going to say let's not. And we're going to hold off until tomorrow to actually start the next part. So there. No real reason other than it just feels a little bit neater. I mean, we were getting a little bit close on time, but there was enough time to do that paragraph. In all reality. So, there you have it. I have spoken. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to reverse time a bit in the not too distant future. Certainly before we get to the end of the Iliad. But that's fine. So, anyway. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.